Okay, we are recording.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the meeting on Jakarta EE and MicroProfile messaging. So I'm not quite sure what happened to access to this document, but there were problems with it earlier today. So I don't know quite what happened there.
All fixed. It's fine. It's all fixed.
Okay.
I wrote it there immediately. I got like bombarded with I need access, and I found the issue and moved back the documents into the MicroProfile forum. And that's it. And I did say here, please do not move the documents. Anyone has access to do whatever they want with the documents, but don't do it.
Okay. All right. So why don't we please, if everybody would add your name to the agenda as a participant, that would be helpful. So we met 2 weeks ago. The minutes were appended to this document. What we're trying to work towards is a combined set of slides that presents joint messaging around Jakarta EE and MicroProfile and a joint messaging document. I'm not going to, if anybody would like further review of what we discussed 2 weeks ago, that would be fine. If not, I'd like to jump right into review of action items identified last time. And they mainly focused on the slides themselves. So the link to the slides is in the agenda. It's right here. And this is the current state of our slides. So I don't believe we've changed anything here. I don't believe we've changed.
We did change it. Will, sorry to interject. We did change a little bit the formatting. As you can see, the headers go for Jakarta, the colors, then it goes MicroProfile, a little bit of the colors, just a cleanup, very lightly cleanup. The content has not been changed.
Okay. All right. Is this like this dark blue or black or whatever that is deliberately that's different from this blue? Is that
correct? We are using each project's colors.
okay? Fair enough. This slide was changed during the meeting last time. We replaced the word combination with collaboration. I don't believe we've made significant changes here. This no vendor lock-in was added last time. As you can see, slides 7 and 8 had a nice graphical treatment of the Venn diagram concepts of how the two groups work together and have synergies. That look and feel for the Venn diagram was implemented on this slide. So this is intended to represent, I think, virtually all of the Jakarta EE APIs.
Let me interject again.
Yeah.
Let me interject again, Will. It doesn't yet. And yesterday during the MicroProfile marketing call, we asked Ed to kindly go and review the implementations that were missing. And can you go into the minutes? Here says shows all 9 replies.
APIs?
APIs, specifications, APIs. Can you show the 9 replies? Ed nicely went in, and I'm not sure if Ed is here, and he did some review.
I'm here. I just called out which were missing and which could be added. But it's up to us to decide. Anyway.
So if you go down, then Jean-Louis went in and also added extra they were missing from your review. So now we have 2 technical reviewers on the Jakarta side. And we're not talking about Prüm. Jean-Louis, your intake on this, I did ask a question following up. Are those APIs not used because maybe they are not adding any innovations, or are they Prüm? What's going on?
The pruned APIs are removed starting with Jakarta EE9. I think technically, since MicroProfile isn't on 9 yet, they could be in there, but I don't think anybody needs it here. So no, that's what I wrote in the
no.
anyway.
I agree, Prum shouldn't be here, but then there are some that you said are not used, and then Jean-Louis said the same thing. My question for the two of you is, not used, what does that mean? For
I didn't say they were unused. They're just they don't add a whole lot of value. So to this slide, I didn't see the point of taking up space. So I'm thinking about like debugging. That's a very tiny spec.
Yeah,
nobody really cares about it. So
yeah, I would agree on that. That will only make the slide with more names in there, which makes it even more unreadable. So I would just not mention them.
Yeah, so considering all these comments in the notes, I highlighted like 3 points that should be added: managed beans, SOAP to Jakarta, and LRA to MicroProfile. Am I correct?
and then I suggest we add DI to the center group. But
Did you mean?
Which one?
Dependency
Sorry.
injection.
Okay.
No, it's sort of the core of a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we need to add a LRA as yet because it has not been finally released.
Which LRA? Well, see, she's got the only reason I suggested that is she has NoSQL and MVC in the other set. So to be fair, it seemed like, well, LRA could be listed in the MicroProfile.
that's what I thought as well, Ed.
If you want, I mean, if we don't want to list them that way, then I would say take out MVC and NoSQL.
I think what Emily says is LRA aren't released. MVC is released. So then it's only NoSQL you should remove.
Yeah, Ed, with that one, I totally agree with the logic, even though you didn't spell it in the comments. NoSQL needs to be removed or add LRA.
I think it's better to remove it or make it a different color because at the moment people coming in here, they say, oh, okay, NoSQL, no different.
Yeah, I don't think we need another color. I would just say let's remove NoSQL for now.
Yeah, remove it. The other color is just messy. And
well, we don't have a lot of space in there anyway, so having a little bit of extra room would be kind of nice.
Can we do it in real time?
that's up to Ryan.
Tetiana and Ryan are on this.
No. It shouldn't be soap.
No.
No.
Well,
no, just
because in the comments there were message that we need to add soap.
That's fine. She did it.
But no, I don't. But
Yeah,
soap.
I just changed it from.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's not only SOAP, it's SOAP with attachment, but
Right,
I would agree that it's the
definitely.
same as debugging. It doesn't really bring much value now, so I would just not mention it as well.
Yeah, let's get a little extra padding in there.
Yeah.
Yank that so we can
What
have a
about managed beans? Are we going to add
Well,
them?
Same in there. There is CDI now, so I'm not sure a lot of people uses managed beans now.
There's
I
a
would
lot.
recommend. Why don't we just put NoSQL in? I mean,
No, we can't.
Why?
We all just discussed removing it and agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
but I guess we didn't agree on it.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
keep
What
it
was
to
that?
Okay, how about deleting the box entirely? How about that?
Yeah,
That's what we were
this is
talking about
possible.
deleting.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let's do it.
So we could just get some, we'll relay out the page a little bit. We get a little white space back in there.
So I know that Tetiana is working on this real time. Ryan, you are here, and you will make it pretty, right? So
If it needs it, looks like she already did a pretty
it
good
looks
job.
really, really good. I mean, seriously, the two of you could rule the world and whatever is presentation. So thank you so much.
So what about MicroProfile part and the LRA? Are we adding it or
No.
not?
Nope.
No.
Not been
Okay.
released. Yeah. So it's
What
not.
about middle side? Are we adding dependency injection?
We need to add that one.
Because it's not here anywhere. If you don't add it in the middle, then it should be under Jakarta EE. And I don't
See.
think that's right either.
Yeah, we need to add it.
I think it's fine. Just is it technically called dependency injection or just inject?
Do we really need to add it? I think
I
CDI
don't
is
think
just
so. I
enough,
thought
to
CDI
avoid
was-
confusion.
I think
Yeah.
CDI is enough personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's enough.
All right.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's
There is a separate spec called dependency injection.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
is MicroProfile dependent on that? I don't
Well,
believe-
anybody's dependent upon CDI is dependent upon it.
Yeah.
So that,
That's,
CDI as a specification project includes both those. So
it encompasses DI then. Is that
Yep.
true?
No,
yes,
no, they're separate specs.
they are separate.
they're
but I
under
think
one
we're just
project.
They are dependent, but they're separate. A lot of these have dependency.
it's not a separate specification project though.
No, there's lots of, but you can't use that argument because there are lots of other specs that don't have separate specification project. I don't know about lots of, there are some.
Technically it is, but if we add DI there, we will have more questions and answers than CDI, DI differences, and so on and so on. Do we want to have?
But that is a crucial, I don't know. I'm advocating that that's important. If you don't list it in the core, then I think it should show up somewhere.
in MicroProfile, we don't really spell it out because implicitly it's brought in by CDI.
You drag it in because of CDI.
I think
So the other change is here the health check, it should be health. The spec is called health, not called a health check.
Yeah, we need to some grammar mistakes there. But Ed, for some reason I agree with Ed on this. We need to be careful. We're saying that something uses something else. Most technology uses something else. That is what we do to not reinvent the wheel. And if we are not going to give an application, an API, its own standing, then what do we say to those contributors? You do not matter because you are less important. We need to be extremely careful with this slide, right? So I'm saying, can we find a middle ground? It needs to be added here because this speaks not only to users, but also to contributors.
Well, just FYI, the contributors for @inject are the same contributors for CDI.
Right.
They're part of the same specification project.
They will see this as included all together. We are assuming. So then if we do CDI, it's just, I'm a little bit wary, but it's maybe because we haven't asked.
I don't think it brings any value if we have CDI.
I don't think we should do more. So this is the MicroProfile spec, right? Or
it's got CDI.
And it's got, I don't think we should do something that the MicroProfile project is not doing. I think we should list exactly these specs. And that's what is currently listed, right?
Can you add dependency injection in the Jakarta EE side?
Yeah,
Well,
that would be the alternative.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
it was, right?
technically wrong. Then if it's going to be
Why?
there, would it be in the center? Well, because it is being used by.
Well, okay. I'm just saying, if it's not going to be in the center, it should be there on the page somewhere. I think it's an important spec.
Yeah, I agree. I say it in the center.
But I don't agree because we, as MicroProfile, we have not identified DI as a separate Jakarta EE spec that we depend on. We've kind of considered it as part of CDI.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. I'm just saying, if it's not going to be listed in the middle, it ought to be listed somewhere.
Okay. So are you comfortable calling it DI?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Can we add DI down in here?
If we play all or nothing game, we should return back SOAP.
Is that a joke?
I like
Not
that
joke.
imagery. I like
Not
it.
joke. If we play all or nothing game, why SOAP is excluded?
No, you could say the same about managed beans too. Then, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could just.
I don't think it matters. Honestly, I don't think it matters. Does anybody really think it matters?
I don't think it matters.
If you want DI, I'm okay with that.
I think we're rat holing a bit. I mean,
yep.
I know. I 100% agree with you. I think this was fine before.
Yeah, I think we should move on.
Can we add DI and to satisfy Ed's request?
And mine too. I am standing with Ed in here.
Yeah, if it's a separate spec, and even though CDI depends on it, then I don't see why it can't belong on the Jakarta EE side.
Okay, fine.
You know, that's you know.
Tetiana, are you modifying this or do?
So DI should be in the middle or Jakarta because
over here, right here.
Right next to phase 2.
I can't grab it.
Yeah, I will do that, but a bit more time so we can move forward.
Oh, yeah,
And
GraphQL.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, are we done with this slide?
Martin, say something. You're saying you're providing feedback via chat, but you can speak, hopefully.
You can just call it DI. I think it's fine.
That's perfect because it's not going to see it.
Right.
I can speak. Hopefully you can hear me. GraphQL should be only one word. It looks like there is a space.
Done.
Have we fixed the grammar mistakes or that we had open?
Yeah, at least those that were mentioned in the comments I fixed.
Okay. Ed, thank you so much. And Jean-Louis, thank you so much for looking at this before the call. We really appreciate it.
That was easy.
Well, we discussed it and this call is recorded. This is how we do it.
Slides. Are we good on slide 5?
Time check. We've got 40 minutes left.
We can leave early.
Okay. Tanya, I believe you updated this slide. Did you update this diagram?
Yes, I did.
Sorry. So this diagram here, I'm working on just to brand it so it matches the rest of the slides. It should be done sometime in the next 30 minutes, and I'll just paste it there. It'll say the same thing and lay out the same way. It'll just be a little bit more colorful, matching the rest. If everyone's okay with that.
I am okay. Does anybody have a problem with that? Super.
Totally agree.
Okay. Implementations.
This one, Emily, you provided feedback on something, but I think we lost it.
I think that was resolved. So previously, WebSphere Liberty is on the Jakarta EE
Yes,
side.
I moved
Now
it
it's the middle.
already. I moved it to the center part, so it's already resolved.
Yeah, thank you, Tetiana.
No problem.
Payara had some comments and questions on the slide. So we were wondering why it changed from compatible implementations to just implementations.
MicroProfile doesn't have compatible implementations yet.
Okay, but Jakarta EE does. So.
But this slide is about both, so we need to have something in between. Both of them are having implementations, so that's why we decided to go with general.
Okay. I think like Steve's comment was basically that either the Jakarta EE compatibility certification means something or it doesn't. So I'm going to guess that that goes with the Tommy being in the middle.
Who is speaking?
Debbie from Payara.
Hi, Debbie. Okay. So is Payara, did Steve object to the representation of Tommy?
Yeah, I think he just feels like if we're highlighting the importance of being a compatible implementation, then we shouldn't lump them all together.
I actually, I think that is a valid objection. I mean, I think Tommy is on the way to certification, so that by the time we agree on these slides, they may have multiple compatible implementations. I don't know. David, you're currently certifying Tommy on Jakarta EE 9.1, is that correct?
Yeah, we're down to 50 tests from like 200 to 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, we're on our way.
Awesome.
So, would it be okay, Debbie, if he's got an asterisk. Would that be acceptable?
I think so. I mean, I'll bring that back, and especially knowing that you're down to 50 tests, so it's in progress. The other question we had on the slide is Thorntail. Does that exist anymore?
I think that's a valid comment in that.
Yeah, Thorntail still exists. It's not necessarily a long-term direction, but it's still there and it's compatible.
You think it's good it creates a good impression to have EOL or abandoned. I'm just reading Steve's comment here. To have EOL or abandoned projects on the slide.
Well, it hasn't been EOL or abandoned yet. Still supported.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it makes the two communities to acknowledge past work. We're not saying, oh, we lost the screen share, Will.
Yeah, I know. I'm just redoing it here.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that it makes us, the two working groups, it makes us understand not only the implementations that have been in the past, they might be a little bit dormant, but they are implementations of either one of the projects or both of the projects. And this matters. We can adjust it in the future because this is just the first version. But I think it's important for us to acknowledge the past. That work took.
Well, it's not EOL. It's not a pass. I think it's
simple. John, would you mind replying to Steve on that point, John?
Sure. Now a valid one might be Hammock.
John Amen has, yes, it's very, very hard.
I mean, what we, here's the thing. I think once we have a microprofile for platform spec or 4.1 platform spec, then, we can have the compatible implementations, title, and probably begin removing some of the ones that wouldn't be microprofile 4.1 compatible. But we're probably talking 6 months from now.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, but
in the meantime, we should. I mean, I don't really see. Anyway, we should be generous with these people who have supported the community for many years, even though they're not necessarily active right this second.
Yes,
they've been part of our 4-year history. So we don't have a compatible implementation program yet. We'll let that do the heavy lifting of weeding the list down. Not that that's a good thing, but anyway.
So I just wanted to ask that the end of life for Thorntail was posted last July, but John, you said it was still being supported, and you can still download it. I guess I was just looking at the website.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'll have to go to double check the life cycle. I thought it was in extended support, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Mark owns the resources.
Confirmation.
All right, cool.
Maybe if we don't want to have highlighted those projects mainly, we just need to switch a bit the logos and put something more active, like Quarkus upper and Thorntail and Hammock a bit lower, to have at the beginning some more active projects if it's going to help you.
I think
so in this case, I don't want to have Helidon at the bottom.
Yeah, let's move it up into the middle or the top.
So
Quarkus and Helidon at the top, and the rest of them.
How we will select which project is the first one in this case? What's the criteria?
Yeah.
First come, first serve.
Alphabetic.
Alphabetically.
It was alphabetic.
Dimitri, that was awesome.
in design wise, I did add into the comments that this sizing of these slides, the font is a little bit off. So I wonder if, Ryan, you can fix it.
What's the problem with the fonts?
It looks consistent to me. I mean,
Quarkus was a bit bigger. I already
it looks better already.
Smaller, so
okay.
Now it's more or less
the same. Thank you so much. You're so fast.
So Tetiana, can you also add WebSphere Liberty next to the WebSphere Liberty icon?
Yeah, I will add it.
Thank you.
Okay. So assuming she does that, are we done with the slide?
Seems so.
Okay, super. Members. I continue to be amused by this.
So cool.
Oh, you can thank Chandra and Gunter for that one.
Yes.
It is awesome. I love it. Yeah.
The Garden State jug is getting the most prominent featuring in this deck of any, well, in this jug as well.
Hey, we're from New Jersey. Come on, it is what it is.
So also in this slide,
Take that, New York.
Yeah, exactly. So in this slide, we also have like, can we make Tunisoft a little bit bigger, please? And I think.
Why? I think they look fine. They look the same size as everybody else.
Maybe it's because they have a different logo that makes the wording small.
But anyway, I'll just remind everybody, we have like to talk about the whole differences thing, and we're chewing up our time making small little adjustments. So this is maybe not the right phase to be doing the fine tuning of.
I agree. I would.
Sometimes it's good to get everything else nailed. So are we good with this slide? Does anybody have any objections to this slide? Okay, so far we've completely agreed slides 1 through 8. Whoop! There we go. So John, did you create this slide?
Yeah, Scott and I created it, and I already kind of noticed one missing thing, but Scott, you want to go ahead and take the lead?
Yeah, I mean, these were the focuses, the relevant differences that we thought should be called out. So feedback on that.
Hey, so Scott, one thing I'd like to point out, it's Paul Buck, is for MicroProfile. Although you've listed the patent license option to be implementation, as I mentioned on the steering committee call last Tuesday, that choice has not yet been made and is a future decision for the steering committee to be taken.
Okay.
So you were on the call, you recall the discussion?
Right. But as is now, that is what the decision is. I mean, that's what the governance is.
There has been no decision, Scott. The steering committee has not balloted on this.
Okay. Then remove those to be determined.
Perfect.
And if same, then it will be deleted.
You want it deleted? Is that what you said?
I said, if it becomes the same, then obviously it's not a difference.
Right.
Okay. Can I suggest this?
Are we okay putting something on the MicroProfile side about our willingness to make backwards and compatible changes, and then maybe on the Jakarta side?
That was the one thing I missed.
Yeah, I was like, that's so important for MicroProfile. We innovate outside the box.
It's part of our identity. I don't think we need to characterize it with words like innovative versus non-innovative, because that's not necessarily fair.
Okay.
But something that mentions the fact that we're willing that we allow backwards and compatible changes allowed, maybe.
Hey, sorry,
Like
Will, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take a crack at this.
Sure, of course. No, I don't mind at all.
But to be fair, we have done this on Jakarta EE side already too.
Yeah, but it's not a tenant. It's like, what's the tenant versus what happens?
Yeah, what you'll see, I think, out of this are kind of like tendencies, or waiting towards one thing or another. There isn't always a hard line, and I think that comes across in a couple of these.
Maybe put the word allow at the end, just there you go.
I mean, that sort of says that they're not allowed on Jakarta EE, and Kevin just said they are, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but the focus is stability.
What I would put on the Jakarta side is maybe something like, strong compatibility guarantee. Does that feel comfortable to people?
I don't know what I'd say guarantee.
Okay. strong backwards compatibility.
Stronger backwards compatibility.
Or okay, yeah, or focus on, but stronger is good.
We are making a comparison, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, only one A in there you go.
One of the things that I really wanted to kind of come across is people tend to think about the technology and the APIs, and they don't necessarily think about some of the other differences, which is what is listed under non-technical. You know, basically how the two working groups operate are different.
I like what you come up with.
I guess I still have to question as to why that's even necessary to bring up. I don't know.
I agree with you, Kevin, but frankly, I don't think it.
I think it matters.
I wanted to hear the end of Will's sentence.
Sorry, Will.
I don't think it matters enough for me to. My objection is not strong enough that I wouldn't accept it to get past the completion of this deck. You know.
Without. This is Ian. Without questioning any of the sorry, had you finished? Well, didn't mean to.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Without questioning any of the content in any of these boxes, I'm wondering who are we expecting to read, for example, minimal budget versus larger budget and care?
Potential contributor. Sorry, Ian. Let me go in here since I was the one to force this slide. We need to educate the community and answer why are there two groups and not just one.
That's not, he wanted to ask about that specific point. So I'll just answer specifically in my perspective. We like that we kind of run with like a lean startup perspective, you know, so anything that the community can do, we have the community do. I mean, but we don't necessarily phrase it like that, but FYI, we intentionally want a small budget for MicroProfile. It's not a problem or a mistake. It's deliberate choice because we like to, you know, keep things as lean as possible. And whatever, if we need something, someone contributes it.
I understand that, but I'm suggesting, and I don't have any evidence to back this up, that that I don't expect many people to look at this and really care about that kind of detail as a comparison between why we've got two working groups.
Agree.
I agree as well.
I disagree, Ian. I believe that if I were to be a contributor or a potential organ or potential member, I will want to know first if I'm going to join the Eclipse community, if I am new to that example. I wanna invest in open source and I wanna bring my developers on board. Which one do I choose? And it's not about choosing. There are the diversity is there and the budget is there based on the charters of each project. It is important and it's relevant to say, what is your investment? Not only on the time, but actually budget. The main difference are not about the people. Many of us contributed to both projects, but in reality, we do invest different amounts of money in either of the projects. That is extremely relevant to an investor. And
well,
Amelia,
if we're
can I say something?
Go ahead, Dan.
Hi. As members to each of the two groups come and go, are you saying that you're going to guarantee that a minimal budget will always be the case, whether or not Tommy Tribe's there? I mean, this is a point in time statement, and I have to agree with Ian. I'm not sure it's something that's going to be relevant to people, unless you can guarantee that fees will never change.
The chart.
Okay, so what bullet is not a point in time bullet on this slide? Because the steering committee can change any bullet here.
Correct. The steering committee can change for both projects.
So I'm sorry, perhaps I asked the wrong question, because I think Amelia's answer that it cares to people contributing to the technologies. Yeah. But I mean, I was
looking to make a point there. If I could, maybe that could help. You know, the fee structure, the minimal budget ties to the fees required to get into the community. So if we wanted to rephrase that or expand it, we could say, you know, minimal budget / low, you know, low fees, low participation fees or something like that.
But they both have zero cost entry points, right?
I said lower fees.
Not for complete access. You don't have access to steering committees at zero cost.
Correct. Ian, we cut you. Can you go ahead?
Depends. That's also not necessarily correct, right? We do have participant members who are not paying for joining Jakarta EE working group.
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, they don't vote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have a representative.
They have a representative, correct?
Yeah, but they don't vote.
They don't vote.
Oh,
anyway. So how this is? Let me try to. I apologize. So. How this is relevant is we deliberately wanted MicroProfile to be lower budget so it could be an on-ramp for people in the community, right? So they could come into MicroProfile at a lower cost to enter, play the game with vote, and if they choose at some point, they could go over to the Jakarta side of the fence. But they have more confidence in our ecosystem community because they've been participating. And we have seen people join the MicroProfile and then join Jakarta EE. So I think from a perspective, I think from a perspective of people looking at the ecosystems and thinking, do we want them to see this on ramp because it's deliberately there?
And I will provide an example.
Hold on, let's go. Ian, give some thoughts.
So it clearly makes no difference to anybody that's just consuming the technology. So I appreciate it makes a lot more difference to people from the perspective of how they choose to initially interact with the working groups. But I thought we were trying to do a bigger thing than that with this messaging and talk about talk about this as much as anything else in a way that would appeal to and explain what we're doing to people who will just want to use the technology. I just feel like we're kind of getting down in the weeds a bit here, particularly the non-technical ones.
Well, here's why. Here's why I think the non-technical are really important. Because there's a large contingent of people, well, actually, I don't know how large, right? But there's a contingent of vocal people, as maybe how I'll say it, are just saying, why doesn't MicroProfile just join Jakarta? Why don't we just have one project? And the difference is, I think that the non-technical aspects are a huge contributor as to why that's not the case. They tend to think just in the context of technical and APIs and namespaces, right? And so that's kind of what I'm trying to address with the non-technical is that there are other differences, but besides just the APIs that you consume as to why there's two projects.
I agree.
Correct, John and Scott. Both of you did a fantastic job with the non-technical on the side to make it a priority. Ian, you're amazing. You can continue challenging this, and we continue to talk with you and everyone else. I
appreciate that, but I don't want to. I don't want to hold the conversation up anymore. I think we've all said what we thought, and I understand why there are folks that want to have this here. I understand that.
So, do we have consensus on this slide?
I think we need to. What is
maybe
it
for minimal? Maybe by minimal budget, we just want to say /low fees.
Yeah, something. We do here, Ian, and we should do a dash something.
Well, we don't have to do dash, but anyway, I said /. But anyway, that might help it be seen as a positive rather than a negative.
There is a zero cost fee for Jakarta EE, so that when you start saying low fees,
I mean, And we have to, at some point, kind of like, we could put on their low fees for voting members, but that gets long.
Yeah. Martin, you had something to say, but you used the chat. Are you able to speak?
Yeah, I can speak briefly. I just wanted to reiterate that, from the LJCC perspective, lots of Java developers, end user developers, they are confused by the Jakarta EE and MicroProfile, that there are two groups. And to be honest, a lot of developers don't dive in and do a lot of extra reading, right? They don't read manuals as such. And so there is an education problem out there. Now, whether or not this slide deck and this forum is the right place to educate the audience, I don't know. That's up to the slides. But it's definitely a very real message that I hear day in, day out.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this can address it to at least some degree, even if these slides don't explain it in detail. At least gives people hopefully enough to go, okay, there's at least some thought there. Do you think that it improves the situation, Martine?
I think anything that comes out as a joint statement certainly helps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Martin, for sharing that. You're a member of one of the largest European Java groups. And the answer from the last call to now was, we are not dealing with the differences of the two groups and why there are two working groups. These slides, the presentation was absolutely nonsense, in my view, if it didn't have something that...
We don't need to say characterizations like that.
Yeah, but
this opportunity might be a fine way to say it.
In my view, so that I'm thinking this is an improvement. So thank you, John and Scott, for owning it.
Okay. So
can I just say one last thing?
Please.
Go ahead.
So it's just, I've been chatting with John on our back channel, and he suggests I actually just say it, so I will. I can understand what John was saying about, why we want to have like a non-technical thing in here, but I don't think this table does it. I think there's just too much background knowledge needed to understand what flattened governance versus structured governance means, what minimal budget or low fee versus larger budget. These are complex things, and if the real point is to try and get across why these two groups exist outside of the technical aspects, I think we do ourselves a disservice by trying to shorten these to 3 or 4 words each bullet. Let's do the job, or just don't put it in here.
So Mark, let me go in here. So do you believe that on the next messaging, because this creates the next job, to create a document that explains this slide, will that qualify? Because I already created Excel sheets with a bunch of details and we're not using it. And then John and Scott created this. Do you believe that we can expand on this? And it doesn't mean that this has to be delayed. This proposal needs to go out. But do you believe that we will?
No, I don't. I would be against putting this slide out as it is, because it just doesn't convey. I know what John's trying to say and what Scott's trying to say and what other people are trying to say. I just don't think this slide does it justice in the non-technical aspects.
So here's a question for both you and maybe Ian and Kevin, who kind of didn't like the bullets. Do you think it's still important to characterize? And if so, how would you characterize it differently?
John, I would say Mark's got a good point. The big differences are in the charter, the two charters, and the fee tables, for instance, and the rights and privileges you get at each level in those fee tables. That's the kind of comparison that actually has meat on the bones. I don't know if it's necessary for this presentation, but then at least you have real hard data being shown next to each other that people can reason about. And this doesn't cut it for me either.
So Dan and Mark, if we were to add a non-technical side, the charter for MicroProfile and the charter for Jakarta EE, will you vote a +1 on this presentation?
I wouldn't.
Charter?
Yeah, I think we're going. I mean, I can understand Mark's point that this just does not. It doesn't have enough meat, but I don't think that meat belongs in this presentation.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would rather have these bullets than nothing, but I think having more detail, like having the full
Yeah, I didn't
fee
say that.
tables.
To
Yeah, I
be-
know.
I didn't
it's
say that.
tempting.
I said if we're going to do it at all, we have to do it so that you can reason on it. I'm not sure it belongs here either.
That's a fine
Yeah, but
statement
what
to
David's
make.
saying, I think, is we should leave it
I
in
would
as it
say
is.
exactly. I would rather have
And
something
I'm saying
than
no.
nothing.
I mean, yeah, I'm
Right,
just one
yeah, I'm
voice,
saying-
but I'm just saying it's confusing. People are going to look at it and
Actually,
go, "What the hell does it mean? I don't understand," and they're going to walk away.
Yeah, I think from a developer point of view, I agree with Mark. I think is like if I'm a developer, I'm not concerned about budget. I'm not concerned about a patent license. More concerned about technical aspect. I assume like for the non-technical bit, is valuable for us internally for the working group. I don't think that is. I feel like this is too much for the like tell the or like the external people, tell the developers. Do they care?
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not. Look, my preference would be to have something in here, but not this. That's what I'm saying.
My preference, probably I read you wrong. My preference is focus on the technical aspect.
Okay, so let's bring someone that is super quiet.
Just in that regard, like we do have material in here that is not exclusively technical. We do have the overlap of the members, for example, which is a non-technical thing, and we are going to have people who are decision makers look at this, and it's fine for them to have a bigger picture. They'll be happy with it. And I think the point was raised already by John that if we only talk about the technical differences, people will not understand why we have two different working groups, because you don't need two different working groups to have technical differences.
Correct.
So we'll have a big portion of this slide deck that doesn't answer why part of the questions that are in people's minds, right?
So
can I just ask a quick question, please?
Tanya, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, so are people going to make a decision whether they're going to be involved in one working group versus the other working group based on their technical reasons or based on the non-technical reasons? So meaning where they want to invest in technology and advancement of, microservices in enterprise Java, or specifications that are more related to Jakarta EE, or they're going to look at slide number 9 and make their decision?
I believe all of it helps.
If I can chime in from a Java user group perspective here, I mean, if I had my druthers, I would like the Garden State Jug to be part of both. Okay, but we're starting off slow, and if you're trying to attract more organizations, especially more Java groups, because that's the resources for.
Oh, Java user groups are welcome in Jakarta EE. We have a mechanism to have them there. That's not a problem.
Is in there, right? iJug is in there now, and but if there's a working group there's a Java group out there that's considering joining one versus the other, and depending on their financial resources, they might look at the non-technical, say, well, that's minimal budget, let's investigate further. And where on the Jakarta EE side, and I'm not quite sure of the numbers on that.
5,000 for a Java.
Okay, versus what we so yeah, so people might want to investigate further to find out if they can join or not.
But that's my point. Actually, like if your JUG wants to join, and we're welcome you to join the Jakarta EE working group, you don't have to have, your JUG doesn't have to have any money in order to join Jakarta EE working group. And if you look at I can talk to you about it, and I think I did in the past, there is an option for a guest member not to pay a single dime and be part of the Jakarta EE working group. So my point was that people are deciding based on the technology, not necessarily the governance structure or fees or anything else. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree, Tanya, and I will not go into details with that, but I want to pull in Kenji. Kenji's in Japan and he's joining this call when he should be sleeping. Kenji, what do you think about this slide?
Don't bother him.
I think that the budget related thing is difficult to explain to the specifically the user group, Java user group. So someone says that if the user who want to consume the technology, they don't care about budget or governance. So I think we should remove this kind of budget or governance things from this slide.
So will you vote a -1 if this?
Yeah, -1. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain? Can you give some thoughts though? Do you believe that ignoring? So we do have non-technical differences that result in there being two different working groups. How do you think that should be addressed in this presentation?
Kenji, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, we need put something about the difference of non-technical thing, but budget and the governance is difficult to explain to our customer or users. Something different is needed, but I think this slide is not proper to explain to our customers.
Here's a suggestion. I mean, a few people have kind of touched on this without necessarily calling it out explicitly. Maybe we need two slides. Maybe we need a slide from the point of view of if you are going to be a contributor to one or both of these, and then one from the point of view of if you are going to be a consumer, and the comparisons will be different. I think this slide is at least trying to conflate the two, and it's adding some confusion.
Sure.
Mark, that sounds amazing. Are you volunteering to create that slide and clean it?
I think he just volunteered, John.
I think he's delegating.
Yeah, just a comment. I believe this is an end user focused deck.
Yep.
And not a membership recruiting focused deck.
Right.
And using Mark's logic, if one buys into that, then that would argue for deleting the non-technical row and leaving the technical and calling it a day.
No, it will. That overrides the reason why we have been talking about this for the last 30 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, in my opinion, to be honest. That's my perspective on it. I
thought the deck was for both too.
Yeah, I think that here we need to consider both sides, technical guys and business guys, because not only technical guys considering joining MicroProfile or Jakarta EE working groups. So we need to look at these from different perspectives, because some companies, they are looking, for example, when joining, they are looking at some budget stuff as well. So this might be useful information. Maybe the issue is like Mark mentioned, that maybe we need some rewording and more explanation on this flattened governance that can be not clear at all for those who are looking at these presentations. What is that governance and what is that governance? Maybe using some more like closer to people wording and some general explanation, something like, I don't know, in MicroProfile, startup approach in working group processes, in Jakarta EE, enterprise approach in working group processes, or whatever in this direction, like maybe some rewarding or something like that. But non-technical.
Tetiana, maybe that's a separate document.
Tetiana,
I'm doing a time check. I apologize, everyone. We have 3 minutes left.
So I guess I'd like to see. I think is the question whether or not to cover what's currently called non-technical stuff in this deck at all, or not. I think that's one question. And the second question is, if we decide to cover the non-technical stuff, who's going to do it? So I suggest we, take us, voice votes, jump in. I recommend not including the non-technical stuff approving the technical stuff, declaring victory on this slide. Does anybody agree with me?
Yeah, I disagree, Will.
That's not what he asked. Now, let
Does
people,
anybody agree with? I guess I would like to know if anybody agrees with me.
Actually, I do.
Okay.
Not to pile on, but I do as well.
Well, at 3, there's not too much of a risk of a pile yet.
Well, no, but we're both from IBM. That's what I
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But, and just so you know, this is not, we're not making a decision. So independently working groups need to make their decisions, right? But this is the proposal.
Well, no, what we're trying to figure out is the proposal.
Oh, okay, on this conversation. Okay,
committee.
sorry.
So who wants to include the non-technical content?
Me, but the right non-technical content.
And fair point.
I'm a +1 on that. I just put that in the chat, but I also like Mark's idea about having a separate slide for that as well.
Me too.
And I'm +1 for including the non-technical content specifically because our technical audience can't understand why they're different working groups. They're the people who need to get the big picture.
Okay, so, I'm
slide.
willing to listen to another go round of another slide. Ian and Kevin and Emily, are you okay with that?
Yeah, there's plenty of +1s, so fair enough.
Okay, all right, great. So, John, can I ask you to at least, if not do it, organize the cohort for a separate slide which covers this type of non-technical stuff?
Yeah, we'll do, and I'll schedule another meeting for 2 weeks.
Super.
And Mark, you were amazing with the slide creation.
Okay. And just a question. Is it true that we have all agreed on all of the other content in this deck?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay.
The last
Thank you very much.
Will, the last one I added, the last slide, can you show it? So now we have number 10. I added something today, this morning. 2 projects housed under the Eclipse Foundation. I added that and we can remove it, but it's just a nice close-up because we are at the Eclipse Foundation.
Yeah, I don't like the stronger together because it begs the question for me, stronger together than what? Than apart? Were these apart?
I do not know.
Anyway, why don't we come back and listen to
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thanks, John, did we record this meeting?
Yes, we did, and I'm updating the notes right now as well with kind of the outcome.
And great. And okay, thanks very much. Talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.